Hello, ladies and gentlemen, 'tis I, Michael A. Grimm, aka the Multi-Voice. I have many voices, but one opinion. And I know that the holiday is over, but this is going to be the last of Multi-Voice-Oween. And I know some of you are going to be telling me this is... Halloween is over, but I declare this as a leftover of Halloween. That's right, Benny. Be a leftover. Benny, my cat. Say hi, Ben. I love this cat. But anyway, I decided since I got done with the full moon, there was one more movie involving full moon that is created by Charles Band here. And since he always been a huge fan of classic monster movies, and it's just too bad that most of his Monster Reborn didn't go well, but there was one movie he made before them, and it wasn't meant for kids. This one was made in 1997, and the movie I'm going to be talking to you today is, of course, The Creeps. Now, what's this story all about? Well, believe it or not, this one involves a bunch of classic monsters together. It all started with a certain librarian who goes by the name of Anna played by Rhonda Griffin, I mean. Now, she plays a librarian, and her library has a lot of the manuscripts of the original books of the classic monsters and such. And this weird scientist who goes by the name of Winston Berber, played by Bill Moorhan. Now, he keeps going to the library pretending to be some kind of college professor, and he always goes over to look at their manuscripts. And when he gets the manuscripts, he switches the original manuscripts with the same cover, but a bunch of scrap paper. Now, Anna got really upset with this. And of course, she's even getting sort of harassed by the head librarian, which turns out she's actually gay. Her name was Miss Christina, played by Chrissa Norton. I mean, one thing I can tell, she was definitely a lesbian because she kept trying to hit on her. And even there was one scene in the movie where she was getting so aroused by one of those old Victorian novels, Victorian romance called Jane Eyre. Well, I guess somebody has a fictional character they have the hots for. But anyway, Anna decided to find a private investigator, so she went all the way. I mean, she looked through the phone book. You know what the phone books are. It's the books that have all the numbers on it before we start using the internet. But anyway, she was trying to find a private investigator, and there is one who goes by the name of David Roy, played by Justin Lawler. Now, not only that he's a detective, he also works in the movie rental store. Oh, the movie rental store. That brings back memories. Ever since I was a little kid, I was there. Besides Blockbuster, I used to go to all these local movie rental stores, and I used to walk in and see a bunch of VHSs of tons of action films, kids films, and even I saw some of the horror ones that scared the hell out of me. And of course, too bad that the movie rental store went out of business along with Blockbuster because we have Redbox. A little update fact. Did you know that the Redbox are almost going out of business too? I think it's because our online streaming, where we can watch tons of movies and TV shows on demand on those internet streaming, we we stop renting DVDs and Blu-rays, and now we just. But I think some of the streaming. I think most of those Wi-Fi streaming should not only show the TV shows and movies, they should start showing the extras on it, because that's one thing I like about DVDs and Blu-rays. There always been a tons of extras in it. I love watching documentaries. I love watching behind the scenes. I love those things. And even I like to see deleted scenes and alternate endings. But anyway, David picked up a lot of information about this Winston Berber. Turns out that he was kicked out of college because he was obsessed, and of course he was stealing some technology. But it turns out that Winston Barber was trying to find the manuscript of Dracula. So now he finally got the thing what he was looking for. He found the manuscript of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the manuscript of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and here's a little-known fact. So he also found some of the other monsters from other books. Turns out that there was a book written back in 1933, which is the very first werewolf novel ever written, and it was called Werewolf of Paris. So, for those of you who want to read books about werewolves, and even classic ones, look up Werewolf of Paris. And he even found a manuscript to a mummy book known as Mummy, A Tale of the 12th Century, written back in 1827. So for those of you who wants to read books about mummies or werewolves, look up Werewolf of Paris and look up Mummy, A Tale for the 20th Century. 12th century, not 20th, 12th. This chair is being a real pain in the ass. But anyway, he took those manuscripts with his machine, and he finally brought those monsters back to life. Except one little miscalculation. All those monsters are all little people. They're dwarfs. And some of you probably recognize them from other movies. Dracula is played by Phil Printecaro. The Frankenstein monster is played by Thomas Wellington. The werewolf is played by John Simonton. And the mummy is played by Joe Smith. And of course, Dracula is wondering why are they so short. And even though they're all independent characters in their own manuscript, he recognized all those other monsters. He knows everything about the monster, knows everything about the Wolfman, and knows everything about the mummy. And of course, one thing that Berber mentioned to them, the only way to make the whole thing complete, they need a virgin sacrifice. And he said that there is a girl, which I know he means Hannah, who might be the perfect sacrifice for his experiment. So, one thing they've done, they went to the library, but instead of finding Anna, they find Miss Christina. And of course, this is the movie where they showed a topless scene, because when those little monsters strapped Miss Christine on the slab, they removed her top and her skirt, and even removed her bra. But they didn't go too far to remove the panties. So you saw the topless Miss Christine. And he told the monsters to put themselves in the chamber while he get the machine going, but a little miscalculation. She wasn't the one. Somehow, she turned into a singing Viking goddess and got really pissed at Berber, and she was about ready to attack him, but he teleported her to the abyss. While the monsters are still in the same size. So, the monsters, they found David, and they also found Anna. And they decided to strap them both together. And one thing, it's an ongoing joke, they said that you were known as legendary. Legends. Even they make tons of movies about you. And Dracula's like, I don't know about this movie that you speak of. Of course, there are Victorian monsters way before television was invented. But, anyway, they have decided to put David and Anna as their sacrifice. But, of course, little miscalculation, as usual. David escaped along with Anne, and then messed up the machine, and Miss Christina showed up as that Viking singer. She grabbed Barber and put him through the abyss that she went through. So now Berber and the monsters are all gone. And Anna decided to put all these manuscripts back to the libraries where they belong. And of course, since the some of the equipment was part of the college property, some of the people from the college grabbed all the equipment and took it back to their to the university. So, Anne and David, Anne decided to thank David for what he done for her, so she gave him a book, and he never read the book, but he did talk about the movie that it was based on, and even talk about that there was a really classic one he has in the back, and even one in Greek. You know, if I worked in the movie rental, I don't nitpick about which version is better. I mean, I would talk about which version is better, but another thing I would talk about the difference between the book and the movie. Because years of knowing about certain franchises, there are a lot more into the book than there are in the movie. I mean, the book has more interesting facts and details, and also answers most of the questions that what the movie gave us. I mean, did any of you ever know where Pennywise came from? Huh? And this is where I'm going to be talking about Full Moon. So far, I love the Full Moon movies back in the late 80s and early 90s. But ever since the mid 2000s, Full Moon had changed. And I don't know what Charles Band was thinking. I mean, all of a sudden they start making softcore porn that you pretty much see in Cinemax, hiring porn stars, and even every time that most of his horror movies, they start to get a little bloody and raunchy all of a sudden, and always casting porn stars to do either a topless scene or a sex scene in their latest movies. I'm like, what the hell? I'd rather enjoy Full Moon from the mid-80s, early 90s. I don't enjoy the Full Moon of today, where they're getting kind of raunchy and gory. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I miss the way Full Moon was back in the mid-80s, early 90s. Sure, there are some topless scenes, but that's how far it go. They never done... I mean, I know that they have done a sex scene, but I know most of the sex scenes are kind of brief. But when they did the softcore ones, they extended it. But anyway, this is my review and the last of Multi-Voice-Oween. If any of you like my review of the Creeps, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. And time to go back to basics. So I'm Michael A. Grimm, aka the Multi-Voice. I remember it so I can jog your memory.